Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long Boys Blues, 1975. A YouTuber who's on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long Boys Blues, 1975.
Hey YouTube, Longboys Post 1975, and time for another old school British comics look at, if you will. Only a few issues. If you saw my review of, or my look at I should say, of the Judge Dredd 1989 2000 AD annual, then I touched upon, you know, that 2000 AD was another one of the comics I got as a kid after I collected the Beano, and still during I collected the Beano, but obviously I was subscribed to the Beano first, and then 2000 AD kind of fell into my lap. Now I've got crates and crates and crates of back issues of 2000 AD. I read it from when I initially read it. I read it from 87 all the way through to pushing the year 2000. I no longer read it. I just like reading my back issues because, well, I'm glad it still exists. Rebellion saved it a few years ago. I can't remember who they bought it off, but the people who owned it prior to them weren't really fans of its material, didn't really know, you know, who it was aimed at and what it was about, and it was kind of slowly being run into the ground. If you're more interested in the history of 2000 AD, Future Shocks, the story of 2000 AD, is actually on YouTube officially, in full and HD, and also it's not absolutely loaded with ads, so it's definitely worth recommending. You take a look at that if you want to know more about 2000 AD, but I'm guessing if you tuned into this video, because no one watches these, you're probably a fan of 2000 AD anyway. But I have crates and crates and crates of them in the attic, all stored away, you know, wrapped up and stuff like that, silicone gel up the wazoo. But I find a few older issues knocking around in my regular comic stash downstairs. So I thought I'd take a look at it, because this, to me, is what I like to call the white cover era. It's, you know, it's newsprint, cheap newsprint. It's sort of in line with how the Beano, the Dandy, and a lot of comics looked at the time. As in, by that, the colour or the cover isn't like full. It doesn't. Later on, you'll see what I mean. They did fall. They got rid of this white board, is what I'm trying to say. I'll learn to talk in a minute, which I think is a shame because I really like the look of these. These would have been back issues that I bought. I think. The only place that sold back issues once I first started getting into 2000 back in the day was Forever People on Park Street, that absolutely fucking amazing comic book store that everyone I know who collected comics went to in Bristol and has strong memories of it. Yeah, I stopped reading 2000 in the late 90s. I think it kind of lost its way a bit then. To me, the best period of 2000 AD would always be the mid to late 80s and the very early 90s, like stuff like you know, Necropolis and Judgment Day and things like that. It's a far removed beast now. I'm not really a massive fan of it. I certainly don't think you should have to spend £3 plus on a weekly comic. I know inflation and shit like that. I buy it from time to time and I'm usually disappointed, especially since the artwork is shite. Anyway, quick recap. I bought a bunch of 2000 ADs from a jumble sale in the mid to late-ish 80s. And I'd never heard of it or seen it before. I didn't even know who Judge Dredd was, and I absolutely, like, we're talking like 25 issues or something here for like 50p, and I absolutely loved it. Fell, you know, loved and adored it, fell head over heels for it. And so one day I was off sick. My mum took me to a place of work because she couldn't get a babysitter, and she sent me down the road to a newsagent with like 50p or a quid or something to buy a comic, and I bought this. This is the first issue of 2000 AD after the ones at the jumble sale that I ever bought and read from new, I guess you could say. And from this point onwards, I used to buy it in a newsagent, and then my mum started ordering it for me from the local post office. But this was the first issue, and it blew my mind. This is Prog 546, 31st of October, 87. Nemesis the Warlock. I mean, just look at the artwork. Just absolutely fantastic. It's got Zenith. Now, obviously, big superhero fan at the time. If you know anything about Zenith, you'll know that this strip is absolutely groundbreaking. Like, it's just, it's off the chart. Nothing was like it back then. There are 4 phases, aren't they? And they get even more complicated and convoluted towards the end. Not going to ruin the end, but the end is an absolute banger that no one saw coming. Even though they set it up earlier on. But yeah, so I liked this as a kid because, you know, superhero and stuff like that. But even I was like, holy shit, this is like, I've not seen fights like this, you know, in my beloved Marvel comics and DC and stuff like that. Mentions 2000 AD Monthly, didn't know anything about this at the time, but later on found out that obviously this was a way to get full strips, like a full Judge Dredd story arc, I should say, in one issue, and it was like, well, 70p. It was just, basically it was a cheaper alternative to graphic novels. Absolutely loved and adored it. I have a bunch of those, actually, that I might take a look at. Dark's Nerve Center. This is just me going through this quickly. Woolworths, who remembers those? Because I wanted to show it because it's the first issue I ever had, but I'm more focused on these back issues I got behind. But yeah, Freaks, was never a fan of that. Bunch of adverts, reservation coupon. Do you remember that every magazine had this? But it was obsolete because you just had to go to your local newsagent and say, hi, you know where I live, you know who I am, can you reserve me 2000D every week? See, like this, yo Santa, forget my Just Dredd down 2000D annuals and you'll be sorry. But then, yeah, and this, and obviously I was used to this because the Beano only had colour on the front and back and the centre spread. But I looked at this and I was familiar with Judge Dredd at this point. So I basically got on board pretty much with the Oz saga, which is an absolute fucking fantastic saga where Oz escapes prison, or so we assume, and has to fly all the way from Mega City to Oz to take part in Super Surf 7? I can't remember which Super Surf it is, but basically, spoilers, he was let out by Dredd as cover so he could investigate the Judder and basically eradicate them. But like, the artwork, I just thought this is fucking amazing. And then this, I'd never seen anything like this. Grotesque, twisted, humanoid-esque figures of Nemesis the Warlock. But needless to say, and Strontium Dog, Strontium Dog, Strontium Dog, Strontium Dog. This to me, because I recognise the artist, Carlos Esquerra, you know, as a Judge Dredd artist, that was why I was immediately on board. But the fact that he was a bounty hunter and a mutant, and it was so much darker, more satirical than X-Men and shit like that. Like all their mutations, apart from Johnny Alpha's, basically, they're not pretty, but yeah, loved it, absolutely loved it. So I was on board, and then later on I got into the back issues because through the best of, you know, monthly and stuff like that, I started getting exposed to some of the old strips that no longer were sort of appearing. Now these are beaten up, these have definitely seen better days, but like I said, this is my favourite period of 2000 AD. I've got way more than this obviously, but I ain't going in the attic because it's cold and it's wet up there and there might be rats. Hold me, I'm scared. But yeah, I think again just because of the whole traditional, like the Beano, the newsprint nature of it, I understand what I just showed you was newsprint, but I like this white border. Anyway, 24p Earth Money lists all the other places in the galaxy you can buy it and how much it costs. Prog 430. So August 85, 10th of August 85. So you got to remember 2000 AD is only 8 years old at this point, you know. So we're still in early days. Ace Corp trucking, is it? Been a while. Dark's Nerve Center. I love the fact that this. What did you win? A badge? A shirt? I can't remember. I can't be bothered to read it. I know that he makes the point of saying he will not do your homework for you, so don't write in. Also, never like this. There's not a better place you could put to vote for your 3 favourite strips here. I mean, I think anyone who did this would just write it down, because why? Why would you ruin this beautiful, beautiful comic? Bit retarded, yeah. And also I actually generally enjoyed seeing the pictures that you know, people, readers would send in. But yeah, so Strontium Dog still going strong. All these comics I've put in sequence in dates. They don't run directly into each other apart from 2. But tell me that Carlos Esquerra is not the greatest Judge Dredd artist, and obviously Strontium Dog artist ever. I mean, come on, tell me. Wolf Sternhammer's still alive at this point. But yeah, Roy the Rovers. When Roy the Rovers was cancelled, I know this isn't about Roy the Rovers, but I got to tell you this. When Roy the Rovers was cancelled, in the final issue, he was transferred to some Brazilian team, and he was flying it there in like a private jet, and the private jet crashed. This is my understanding, and they had to amputate his leg. Fucking dark is that? This, what he says, Hollywood puts the fun into chewing gum. Never heard of it. What a waste of a colour page. Ego Trip. Never heard of this before. Is it a Nemesis the Warlock story? It just says Ego Trip, but it's got Nemesis in it. Anyway, it's been a while since I've read these issues. It's been about probably 30 years. It must be a Nemesis story, but hey. Then we get our 2-page colour. Judge Dredd, Nosferatu, write his name in blood. He's a spider, is he? Basically, yeah. I mean, that's a bit of a waste of the 2-page colour, you know, spread available to them, because it's just a cover, but it is beautiful, beautiful art. I also love the fact that Judge Dredd's, you know, you had credit cards for all the other artists. Initially, when Judge Dredd had all of the strips in it, they never got any credit whatsoever, did they? The artists, the writers. And they used to employ a bloke who used to go through, they'd all submit their artwork, and then this guy would go through it with some white ink, and he'd have to try and find every example of where they'd signed it. To, you know, black it out and stuff like that. He was the guy who eventually got the credit they deserved, so they could have credit card, you know, credit card stickers, panels on these strips, so people would know who they were. But they were notoriously badly treated. All comic book people are notoriously badly treated, especially back then. They still are today, to be fair. I mean, otherwise Image wouldn't exist. But oh no, so he's a man. I get it now. Yeah. Oh no, he's a man. I get it now. But this is why they started, they got, 2000 AD became a training ground, didn't it, for DC and their Vertigo line of comics, because so many people would cut their teeth on 2000 AD, and it almost came to a point where people who ran 2000 AD said, we are basically being used as a training ground, and then they get, you know, headhunted by Vertigo, and they go to America where they get better money and more credit. But yeah, Ace Trucking Co. Any space, any time. Yeah, so this was fucking great stuff. Just like the goofy artwork and shit like that. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But again, it was weird coming back to this, because a bunch of this was, you know, going to back, as I say, was I never got to experience it, and I don't think some of them never actually returned after the initial runs in the early 2000s. Rogue Trooper, everyone knows about Rogue Trooper, the last Italy infantry, GI. Basically, see what they did there, who was betrayed by the traitorous general, and all his troops were wiped out apart from him. And then he took the biochips, because each GI had a biochip in them which would back up their personality, and he cut them out of 3 guys and put them on his bagman, his helm, and his gunner, and so they could still talk and provide, you know, advice. And the way the speech bubble was carried like this to make it look like, you know, synthetic, electronic and cold. Fucking brilliant. I absolutely loved and adored Rogue Trooper. It went through a bit of a weak low where they did the hit series, where he had to take out a certain number of people, hence this hit, the title Hits, and then there was Hit 1, Hit 2, and I think it stopped after about Hit 4 or 5 or something, which I tell you what, I was fine with, apart from, I can't remember who the bloke was, but he went on to draw Punisher. Is it Stevie Oval? Don't know, don't quote me on that, but his artwork and his depiction of Gunner was amazing. But yeah, that was shit. But then it went back to just, you know, being Rogue Trooper, you know, Wars of the Future and stuff. But yeah, absolutely adored Rogue Trooper. Then the back cover, there you go, the Eagle Awards. Favourite comic villain of 1984, Torquemada, obviously from Nemesis the Warlock. This is what I mean about the artwork and shit like that. So anyway, North Landing, Meltdown, -15, 24p, Prog 431, 17th of August. What we're on here, the 10th of August. So this is directly follows this issue. But yeah, and the covers, even with the limited colours available to them, they're just fucking brilliant. Still there, shame on you. Strontium Dog. So here's what we mean about the credit cards. Once upon a time they got no credit. That is mind-blowing. I mean, we all know about the dark days of comics, but it's still mind-blowing. Strontium Dog. He still comes back from time to time, but technically he's dead. Thoth, son of Nemesis. Again, Roy of the Rovers. Oh, Ace Truck Co, Any Space, Anytime. The Croakside Trip. Well, I don't know what part we're on. Does it say what part we're on? It does not. But yeah, like I said, this smells fantastic, by the way. It smells like a proper nice library. A comic library, if you will. They used this image for years. I can still... These are thrill suckers, aren't they? Yeah. Excuse me, Winnie Pops. I can still just remember that like it was yesterday. But Next part of Nosferatu. Tell me that it's not beautiful, beautiful, beautiful artwork. It's too dark in here for me to read, and I've got the wrong glasses on the credit card to tell you who it is, but I'm pretty sure he's the guy who did the strips. Some of the strips, not all of the strips, that appeared in the Daily Star, because there was new Judge Dredd material that appeared weekly, in the daily, I should say, in the Daily Star. This was my, not my first experience of Slain, but this was my first experience to what I would like to call pre-Horn God Slain, because I mean I love the Horn God. It's one of the greatest graphic novels, and one of my favourite graphic novels of all time. And that to me was 1990. How I forever saw Slain from that point onwards. This was the first time I saw him, you know, depicted. His image was different, basically, shall I say? But you know, Slain is Slain the Berserker. Later on became Slain the King, then became Slain the Horn God. He could channel the powers of the Earth Goddess through his body and warp, gasm. But this was just amazing. Like, I'm like, wait, this is Slain. And then Rogue Trooper again. I mean, you got. I miss comics like this. This to me is Transformers. Is that Wave 2 with the Dinobots, or are they part of Wave? I don't know. I have Grimlock, still have Grimlock. I have Slag somewhere. They've changed his name since, haven't they? Because you can't call him Slag. Right. So hey, 31st of August, 85, 17th. So no, that's. We're missing an issue. But yeah, this to me, all the British comics at this point were absolutely fantastic. They just had so much more character. I mean, I was reading American comics, but at this point, to be fair, I was reading Transformers and Beano, and I was reading British versions of Marvel Americanized comics, you know, in DC. But this is, we were just unique and stuff. That's why I think the people from Vertigo, DC Vertigo, you know, saw out so many British writers and artists, because there was nothing else like it. Tharg the Destroyer, I see what you did there. Yeah, Tharg is still part of 2000 AD. I can't remember the bloke now. Pat Mills, who created Nemesis the Warlock. Did he? Or he created Slain? Can't remember, but he was basically in charge of 2000 AD. He fucking hated Tharg, and they wanted to get rid of him, but the backlash was too huge. Slain, again, it's just this body armor and shit I like, because like I said, I don't know, Slain, obviously the point of the Horn God had evolved, but this was just cool. Hey, I remember that, to get kids into saving and stuff like that. What was it? Because it's HSBC now, isn't it? Midland, there you go, David's written, came up with their, you know, because the Griffin was their logo, like a kidified version of it. You get a bag and you get like books and shit, and it all be about getting kids in. Basically it was like, come and bank with us because it's still money and we will still make interest off it, but look, we'll give you a bunch of free shit. It wasn't as good as a Porcelain Pig money box by, I can't remember, were they NatWest? Not Nat, yeah, was it NatWest? Or was it a building society nationwide? Some of those are worth a fortune now. Anyway, this isn't about that. Strontium Dog again, look at that. Shaddam. Caranch. Oh, comic book words. I want you on my epitaph. Competition results service. So yeah, I don't know what it was. The Henshin Robos, don't even know what they were, but someone won them, and that's the result. And someone won a KP Alien Spaces robot arm. So good for them. Just Dredd, Nosferatu again. So he's Nosferatu, but he's a spider? Crazy. But yeah, I mean, the fact that these people didn't get the credit they deserve is insane, because look how beautiful all of the artwork is in this. There's Galaxy Stars in this new Nemesis serial beginning 435. So the Vengeance of Thoth. 2 issues from now. Anyway, Justice Department warning: all citizens are hereby ordered to learn the Waterwise Code. Failure to do so, basically spot the dangers, know the difference. It's a fucking public information commercial with Dredd. Alright, okay. Not sure I need that, really. You got points for that, 2000. That's not cool, man. You're working for the man. Sherbet Gang, obviously, they're sweet, but hey. Sam Slade Robo Hunted, because it's Sam Slade Robo Hunter. 2nd November, Prog 442, 1985. This was my introduction to Sam Slade Robo Hunter. Basically, he hunted rogue robots, didn't he? And hilarity ensued, although it was a bit more serious than that. Shoot him up. Right. Yeah, so like I said, a lot of these, some of them got brought back and kind of reimagined years and years and years down the line. But after their run in the sort of 80s, some of them here didn't appear to like the mid late 90s again, and were far far removed from this. And yeah, which is a shame because Sam Slade is one of the greats. Sam C. Slade, I should say. I mean, look at the artwork. This guy drew everything. He definitely did Judge Dredd. He definitely did some of the Daily Star Judge Dredd strips. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful arc. Follow Rogue's Firework Code. That's kind of apt since we're coming up to bonfire night. Keep fireworks in a closed box. But does it say about keeping the fuck away from dogs? Or don't be a sad cunt, don't do fireworks anyway, just go to a public display. It's sad when you stand in your back garden with 10 fireworks just scaring all the dogs in the neighbourhood. Sorry. But yeah, public information commercials again. Also, Battle. Yeah, before Marvel had the rights to Action Force was originally a spin-off from Action Man, and then they bought the rights to use the American Action Force because of the combination of the relationship Palitoy had with is it Kenner? I don't know, but they had their full-size G.I. Joe dolls, and then we had our full-size Action Men, and then we invented Kung Fu Grip, true story, and we invented realistic hair, and if we sent the information to them on how to do it and they did it, it was a back and forth relationship. So eventually we had their G.I. Joe, and they were the centre page, like Judge Dredd is in here, strip in colour, and it was Battle. Also Charlie's War, one of my favourites, was in Battle. Dungeons and Dragons, yeah. Action Force. And then they lost the rights to it, so they changed it to Strike Force or Storm Force, but no one gave a shit at that point because, it was an Action Force, which was starting to heat up then, because of the cartoon and stuff. And the toys were basically good now. They weren't terrible when they just didn't have the O-rings and all the articulation. I am aware I'm talking a massive amount of bollocks. But then Battle got folded into Eagle, which I actually started reading it that time. But look at this. Do you know what I mean about the artwork for Nemesis the Warlock? It's a different artist now, but it's still, I'm pretty sure it's the guy who did Slane. Yeah. And then all the annuals that were coming out, because we're coming up to Christmas. So Eagle, Judge Dredd, Roy the Rovers, Shoot, Battle Action Force, see, Cobra Commander, Angler's Mail. Who doesn't want that at Christmas? 2000, Grange Hill, because Grange Hill was massive, BMX, and Tiger. Mega Man. Oh, look at the logo. See what they're doing there? Yeah, so this is where Dredd takes down a superhero. Because as I recall, see, this isn't why it's not a continuation. I'm pretty sure this is like a one-shot, which, they did in some, other comics. It wasn't always like epic mega serials, but yeah. So, but he's essentially a vigilante, and you can't have a vigilante. It's against the law. So yeah, Dredd fights him. I think he's using like a robot suit and stuff like that because he's a skinny little bitch. But yeah, loved it. See, Dredd could take Superman. Dark Future Shocks. These were one-shot stories, and they were absolutely think Twilight Zone or Outer Limits or stuff like that. They're generally always science fiction based, and yeah, that's the artist I'm thinking of. But they also, the movie Hardware? Hardware was, and they had to acknowledge it, and it's at the end of the credits now, that it's based loosely upon a story by, is it IPC Magazines at this point? Or Fleetway? Can't remember, one or the other. But yeah, they ripped it off a Future Shock. Yeah, and so Galaxy's Greatest Comic took action. Yeah, this guy's epic. Again, it's too dark for me to read in here to see who it was, but yeah. Mean Team? Were they a sports team or something? Who ended up being like bounty hunters? I can't remember. Some of these are genuinely a proper blast from the past. Hey, where are you going? Midicom. But when are you going to get there? I'll tell you next week. Okay. Dredd and Anderson, a thorough review. See what they did there? Because a view to a kill. Right, this Dredd and Anderson age in real time. Do you know that's a dimension jumping device, isn't it? Because of Dark Judges. So Dredd's like in his 80s, and Anderson is in her 60s now. But obviously, medical care, bionic implants. Dredd's had bionic eyes for fucking years. The life expectancy of a human in the future and stuff like that. They're still perfectly capable of throwing down the jam. Anyway, Adventure Gaming gets drill pad. This is interesting. Prog 447, 7th of December 85. You are slain in Tomb of Terror. It's basically, think fighting fantasy. It's that level of interactive role playing. I actually have the full story of it in a 2000 AD monthly. But yeah, so basically, it's a story combined. There you go, the advert, because it's Christmas coming up, so your Judge Dredd annual and your 2000 AD annual. This is before I got the annuals. My first was 88s, but yeah. So it sets the story up. See what you did there. Look at the artwork. That's brutal. Look at it. It's just fantastic. And then, yeah, wear your blades. You are Slain. Game, Pat Mills. So it was Pat Mills who created Slain and Nemesis the Warlock and was, what, the original editor-in-chief on 2000 AD. So now you get the rules. This is like, did any other comic do this? I understand that these fighting fantasy books and stuff like that existed at the time, but they were never incorporated into your main strip. And this strip had existed before, you know, it had ever been turned into a game and stuff like that. So this was genuinely like new, cool, groundbreaking stuff. But anyway, next prog. Can you save the nest from the Dog Man? Mean Team. I might be combining them or mixing them with someone else. I've got a lot of 2000 AD memories in my head. Oh yeah, the Talking Cat. Everybody Wants to Be a Hero. An advert for Marvel Superheroes. TSR. Advertising the enemy there. 2000 AD. You can run, but you can't hide. Handsome. Not the ugly ball. Ugly bug ball, sorry. Yeah, so uglies. They were like fatties. Well, you know, I think they did this to themselves deliberately. Some of them. But yeah. So Dredd is pursuing a perp. I think, doesn't he end up, spoilers, getting the chemicals on him that make you ugly? But he tries to hide in the ugly bug ball. Yeah. Oh, Hershey. Never liked it that she became chief judge. Yeah, and then he ends up getting fucking chemicals on him. Anyway, Strontium Dog. Not telling us what story it is either. But hey. Stone Killers and what was the one with Ronald Reagan in? Where he was kidnapped to the future. That was, they were always my favourite ones. I never liked it when he died. It was epic and stuff like that, but I just didn't want him to die, even though it didn't matter because he came back many years later. 60p, so these would have been from Forever People, and they wouldn't have been in bags. They were just bought clear and loose like this, which I used to shop in there like from 89 onwards, so that's not bad, is it, for 2 years old. Dredd, he is the law. This is an iconic picture. Anyway, Happy New Year, Prog 451, 4th of January 1986. I cannot even begin to go into how great Halo Jones is. It's one of the greatest strips ever written. It's just, it's insanely good. I don't have enough time. But it never ever got finished. Never got finished. Was it Alan Moore? I get confused with my Allens. Where's the credit card thing? Too dark for me to read in here. Can't see. Oh well. But yeah, take it from me. Just fucking YouTube the greatness of Halo Jones. You know, just yeah. She was unemployed. It was a lot of, you know, social observation and stuff like that in it, but it was just brilliant. And there was going to be a Spectrum game, but they cancelled it. But I have book 2, the original Titan run, which is quite valuable now because I found it in a charity shop. They kind of knew what it was worth, but they kind of didn't know what it was worth. But yeah, so we're still in the Tomb of Terror. See, so you get your little bit of story. So has someone actually filled this in? No, I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's an indent. Yeah, and then you get your RPG element of it, and then we get I am Shogun, Warlord of G. Let the judges of Mexico know who I am. Oh, it's another old school legend, 2000 AD artist. He doesn't look it on camera, but trust me, it's dark as tits in here. Mark 1 Lawgiver, never liked it when they retroconned the Lawgiver, which is obviously fucking decades after this. Yeah, into something that, you know, resembled what was in the good Carl Urban Judge Dredd movie. But yeah, whatever happened to Ace Scarp? Obviously, he of Ace Trucking Co. Strontium Dog. Oh, is this the story of how Wolf Sternhammer became, because he was a genuine Viking, became Johnny's psychic? I'm assuming so. Tomb of Terror Latecomers section. I'm not sure what that is. Is that just an update? But hey, there you go. The company's bad. Bad Company. Again, because of the Cruel Heart and stuff like that, too complicated for me to go into. But Bad Company was another absolutely banging strip where Kano had half his brain and half the brain of someone from the Cruel or the Cruel Heart. But see what they did? The company's bad, and Thrax is back. 576, 4th of April 87. You're dead, Kano. This was another favourite artist of mine. I just love the way he drew guns. And they all had bits of shit stitched on them, like Danny had to, like leather stitched into his, actually stitched into his face. But yeah, Bad Company. So Bad Company and the Cruel Heart literally ended the stories of Bad Company. I don't think it was like had a massively long series of runs and stuff like that. I think it may have only been a few strips, but it was just very memorable. But yeah, when I generally ordered it, generally I ordered it anyway from the newsagents. That was got to see the end of it. This is one that Doctor and Quint, they were massively popular, and they were almost like the mascots, more so over Tharg for 2000 AD. And they just disappeared overnight. Strontium Dog, Bitch, Part 12. This is my favourite. This and Stone Killers. This is the one where they rescue Ronald Reagan. It's the introduction of Durham Red, who is a vampire, but she's a mutant vampire, so therefore she needs blood to survive, but you won't become a vampire if she bites you and sunlight and shit don't kill her. But yeah, Durham Red. The late great legendary Carlos Esguerra, again. Reserve coupon. The birthday party starts on Prog 520. Judge Dredd. No title? Okay. But yeah. I mean, and the thing was, normally you would hate it. Because of the way stuff works with strips, you would fall in love with an artist, and then you would associate that artist with a character, especially a titular character like Judge Dredd. But with Judge Dredd, there were so many good artists that worked on it, and although obviously, like most sane-minded people, Carlos Esguerra was my favourite, and is officially the best. You still had a bunch of other ones you would look forward to drawing. Another Future Shock, Big Trouble for Blas Barkley. So yeah, one-shot strip. Ooh, the dead. Yeah. Next prog, he's back. That's also iconic Slain before the Horn God artwork that I remember. And again, another artwork for the best. I always remember wishing that I hadn't missed the Dark Judges, because obviously the Dark Judges were just like insanely good. 2080 Blitz's Eagle Awards again, so it won all the Eagle Awards. It was a British Comic Award for, all British Comics Prog, 549, 2nd of November 87, in orbit every Monday. This is my favourite logo, 28p Earth Money, Zenith, horror on the flip side. So we're getting towards the end of, I never liked it when they did Zenith in colour. To me, Zenith always looked best in black and white. Yeah. Oh, starting dog. Yeah, getting towards the end of Zenith Phase 1, which was, the first two phases were pretty much more traditional superhero phases, and then it got really meta, in multiverse and stuff like that. Was Zenith before Crisis in DC? I can't remember, but, well, no, not at that point when we got to the later Zenith, Phase 3 and Phase 4, because they weren't proper sort of like, multiverse. Who remembers that? I remember that. Never wanted it, but there you go. Bad Company 2. So I'm guessing that means there were 3 strips. Kano, see? Half his brain replaced. Just the artwork. And those beautiful guns. Judge Dredd, Oz, Part 5. He's basically, he's gone across mutated land. He's gone across the ocean. He's trying to get to Oz for Super Surf. Yeah, there's these weird fucking mutated bird people things. See, tell me that's not fucking beautiful artwork. Also, Chopper was a fucking legend. And then when they did the follow-up strip, which, don't get me wrong, was amazing, and Super Surf turned into kind of like this futuristic Running Man sport, I always liked, the traditional, sort of Super Surf, where it was just a sport and competition. And yeah, sorry, I think I have that issue. Like I said, I might look at my my best of 2007 of the monthlies, because yeah, Chopper and Oz was just fucking phenomenal, and the story afterwards, where they made him into like a tragic hero, I didn't need that level of violence or blood. Again, look at this, grotesque humanoid-esque. That's Torquemada, isn't it? He always had this weird thing with his bit of his nose missing. But like I said, my brain couldn't process artwork like that as a kid. You've never seen anything like it. Anyway, Zenith, Phase 1, 14, Part 14, famous last words. They've destroyed Masterman's physical body, so now they are facing the Loiga, fourth dimensional hyper being, and they are stuck in its, well, fourth dimensional real body form. Brilliant. Now, this is one I always remember. I confused a bit with this issue when I talk about, you know, things I remember about 2000 but yeah. You can put away the Tonka toys, mate. The war's over. Fantastic. Final issue I have of these ones here. Join us on Mutant Hospital when Strong's Dog says, "It's time for your shots, Mr. Scully." Midden McNulty face. It's a scun of the world, lad. It's a scun of the world. Prog 550, 28th of November, 87. Zenith, epilogue. See, so the main story of Zenith's over. Now they set up what's to come. But yeah, I have the first two stories. I have Zenith Phase 2 in the best of 2000 AD monthly, but, well, almost all of it, and then the final episode appears in the next best of 2000 AD monthly. So they knew how to keep you buying the Titan books at the time. But yeah, it always set up, you know, the kind of next phase. But yeah, so you thought, you know, Peter St. John, you know, he'd help save the world, which helped him win the elections. Like, yay! He didn't, because everyone knew that he was a member of Cloud9, which was like the Beatles equivalent of superheroes. In the 60s, but they all died and disappeared apart from Ruby and Peter St. John. But yeah, and then it shows you that, oh look, he may have used his powers after all to influence his role in becoming elected and also the government becoming elected. But and then just, oh Flex, this was great. This was this is Inner Space, isn't it? They would have, like, not necessarily every week, but quite often, do movie reviews. But in this case, it was just a whole review devoted to one movie, Inner Space. So I remember when they talked about Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and pointed out that Harrison Ford was, what was he in that, 47, 48 or something, and he was doing all his own stunts. And I remember reading it and thinking, I don't want him to do all his own stunts. He's too fucking old. Which is, well, I'm 50 now. Bad Company 2, The Bewilderness. But yeah, this brings back, like I said, this is just my favourite period. I prefer the black and white. I don't know what it is. And I never liked it when 2000 AD got glossy. Don't know why I'm doing that. Which was towards the very late 90s, early 2000s. I never liked that. Then it had computerised colouring. I didn't like it. I just liked it. It was black and white. It was newsprint. And yeah, alright, so only the cover and the back were, and the centre pages were in part 6 in colour. But I was fine with that. Chopper, Oz. Nemesis, the two Torquemadas. So what? Because obviously Torquemada, be pure, be vigilant, behave. You know, who wants to exterminate aliens from all the universe. Does he go back and meet the original Torquemada from the Spanish Inquisition? Something like that. Can't remember. Don't know. But yeah, look at it. So yeah, this was just a goofy little look at, mainly more for me than you, because no one watches these comic book videos. But I don't care. Strontium Dog, the Rami Part 7. But yeah. Oh, 2000 AD, you were such a part of my childhood, and you were just magic, absolutely magic. But most of all, when you were the white bordered, you know, newsprint, predominantly black and white, you were my favourite. Anyways, always I love to know that thing, especially if you read old school 2000 AD. If you read it now, though, well, kudos to you. You must be fucking rich. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I might do my monthlies. I might not. I might not do any more comic book videos. But then again, I might get a white stick. Who knows? But yeah, thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you later.